Hey, Pockers, Lasters, Epochers, time traveling multidimensional god wizards. I don't know what this community is called or what we call ourselves, so let's just go with that. I finished my blind playthrough of Last Epoch, and I only specify that because there are things that I didn't know or don't know and did figure out that might make things easier or solve issues that I had. And saying it's blind, I think, will give a little bit of context on that. I'll be using the same breakdown I did in the other areas, like in a bunch of areas that I did in my last video with the last Epoch review. Here, boop, put it up there. Um, if you didn't see it, there's probably things that are missing from this video that are like, oh, why didn't you talk about this? Or like, why didn't that affect his review? It's because I talked about it in my last video that was mainly focused on the campaign. I went a little tiny bit into the end game, or dungeons, I guess you would call them in, as well. Um, and I didn't really want to repeat anything else. So here it is. So I completed all the content that I'm aware of in the game. This would be the 10 monolith tiers, the 3 dungeons. There are 2 or 3 other tiers. I didn't do level hundreds on them, but that. And then there's 2 arena types, endless and just the tiers. I got through almost all of it on hardcore SAF. It's so weird saying that, not SSF. But I died on T6. It's a little bit of a spoiler for you, but whatever. I died on T6 monoliths as my last hardcore character, um, and just didn't have the time to level another characters. So the last 4 monolith tiers are done just on softcore. Uh, Sucks, but I just ran out of time. Um, and didn't really want to spend this last week off that I was going to have re-leveling. Um, there was also just a bug with like Void Knight, and it was game breaking basically. That really leveling any other class, I guess I could have did, but yeah. Um, that's all besides the point though. Talking about the classes I played all 5 classes. I played the subtypes for them. I played Sentinel Void Knight. I played Rogue Marksman. I played Mage, Rune Master, and Sorcerer. I played Primalist, the Shaman, and then I had a Primalist Beastmaster. Finally, Acolyte, Lich I went through. I felt that I needed to at least try everything in case there's something that could open my eyes to something else and like change and find what my favorite class is basically. And just for like items that I was picking up to like see. I landed on a Raising Strike Void Knight Sentinel as my favorite class. I liked and hated some of the other ones. I'll get more into that later. But before we continue, drop a like, sub, tell me what classes you builds you played in the comments, and if you're gonna be playing, what ones you plan to play, I guess. Before we go into the breakdown of the game, I'll roll out a quick timeline of everything that I did, finish leading up to the finishing quote unquote of the game. I started the Shaman Primalist, hardcore SSF, and to know everything I did was hardcore except the last few days playing. I said that. Um, I played it. Uh, I played it up until Monoliths, and then died. Restarted. I did a Rogue, Acolyte Mage until like level 20. Tried to figure out what I wanted to play. Nothing really hit until I decided to try Sentinel, which I thought was going to hate, but it turned out to be one of my favorite classes. Um, but I had the Void Sword, and I thought I'd give it a shot, and it was really satisfying to play. On top of that, Bubble Boy is super tanky and does a ton of damage, and numbers don't even count. Like, you kill a mob, and with a Raising Strike, deletes the corpse, the numbers, everything, except like the skill of the mob, which annoying, whatever. I was chugging along, and I got to Lugan and Monoliths with him. I think that's tier 6, tier 5. I'm not I'm not sure. Before I really wanted to try the other classes. So this was mainly because I was dropping so many items and affixes that I didn't know like if they're good or not, or like +1 level on this. And I was like, should I be saving all this? Is this really good? But I was just passing up so much gear, and I really needed to just get through it and figure out if it was good. So I leveled a bunch of other characters. Um, so this is where I was grinding out so many runs here. All right, I'll try to be quick. Uh, I'm not 100% sure the order of this. There's something wrong or something I did out of order because I was playing so many during this. So I started with a mage. I died in chapter 3. I reset. Then a mage again, got to chapter 2, got bored, switched off of it to a lich. Got that one to like chapter 5, died, reset, re-leveled, got to chapter 2, died, reset. With a lich again. I finally got to monoliths and then died. No, wait, I didn't. Okay, no, this first one, I'm sorry. Whew, my notes are wrong here. I got to this one, the monoliths, but I didn't die, and I just reset again because I didn't like it. Then I reset with rogue, and I went with marksman. Holy, what a horrible experience that was! It's so squishy, and you have to like stand still, and there's no like multi-proj for some of it, and it's so bad. Bugging out, arrows, and all of it, gross. I got to the final boss of the camp, or I got to the final boss and like the end of the campaign. I got him to like half HP, died with that. Good riddance. Uh, so that's going to be a theme going forward. You so now I relevel Primalist, thinking either a Druid or Beastmaster. Decided on a Beastmaster, the furry fuck. I really loved Beastmaster halfway through the run, but then problems and disappointment after disappointment. I got to tier 5 monoliths, but I didn't want to go past my Void Knight. So I just farmed dungeons and I was doing all the other side content, farming for other classes that I was thinking about maybe playing. Um, and then I died in Soulfire. I rerolled the sorcerer, got to like chapter 10, and I suicided the character. It long story short, I really was hating playing that class. And it was so sad because it was so good to play early, but later on it's not for me. The Many of the classes felt really good early, but just felt really bad late. Maybe it was like lack of knowledge or lack of like wrong build paths, or I don't know what I was doing, but um it could just be like in PoE, like a lot of the skills just suck. It could be. Um and need to be buffed or something. And I was just choosing the bad ones, like I don't know. So I went back to Void Knight after all this. I was like, okay, let's just progress. Now this is my only character besides the Lich, and I immediately died to Lagon in Monoliths. Um, that was a really depressing death. Uh, so I was pretty sad. Now I have nothing but a Lich and Monoliths, and I don't really want to play Lich. Um, so I re-rolled another Void Knight, and I died in chapter 4. So I re-rolled again. I died chapter 10 to the boss again. I rerolled again, and I died in chapter 10 again, and again, and I think again. I don't know. Trying to relevel this character. On my last attempt, I like snapped because there's a game breaking bug that I didn't know was a bug until like pretty much the last character. I always thought it was a mechanic that was happening to me, like I was getting stunned or something. But I'll talk about that more later when we go over like the classes and skills and whatever. Um, so we landed on the last week of playing, and I had to decide whether spending my week off re-leveling back Void up again, which I really didn't want to do because of the bug, and hopefully beat the game before dying, because that would really suck if I re-leveled again and then I died. Or reroll a new class that didn't have a bug, or a bug that I guess I wasn't aware of. Hope that it didn't have one. I could finish on the Lich because I still have that in Monolith, but the Lich, I don't think I would make it very far with that build without doing a lot of like grinding for gear or something. Um, or finish the last 4 tiers on the Dead Void Knight, my first Bubble Boy. And I just chose that. Yeah, I just chose that. So I died once, leveling. It was one of the bosses that I just didn't see one of his one shots going off, and I just died. When I got to like the final T10 boss, like the final quote unquote boss of the game, the keeper, whatever his name is, the corrupt keeper, and I died to him so many times. Uh, I can't. I think I died like 15 times to him. Like five of them were like me testing to like figure out what was going wrong. I was very stupid. It was very stupid. I died because there was a mod on the map that I just wasn't seeing that was healing him to full. And I just thought the fight like had some crazy mechanic that I wasn't aware of. Um, but yeah, that's my entire journey through Last Epoch. Oh, looking back, it was a lot, and I might have burned myself out on ARPGs for a little bit, especially for the upcoming 324 Necropolis League. Yeah, I don't know if that was a good decision playing ARPG into ARPG back into ARPG again. Um, Overall, I don't really regret the experience, I guess, but it showed me like things that are like really nice that PoE doesn't have or any other games like don't have, like Portal scroll hotkey. Oh, it's very nice. Still wish that portals just open automatically on map completion. Whatever. No game seems to want to do that. Um, but it also made me really grateful for GGG and like the amazing game that they have created for us to play and stuff. And all the little small things that other games like don't have that come with time and stuff. And it's I don't think it's fair to say entirely with time and stuff because this game's been in development for 7 years or something. It's been playable for five. Like it's been you could download and play the game for like 5 years. Um, and some of these issues that I'll go into, and I don't know if I'll talk about all of them, but like PoE fixed in its first year being out in alpha, and this game 7 years in, still not finished in some areas and stuff. But I don't know. It's kind of like having like a really long relationship and then like going to this new fling and like seeing the differences. We're not talking about my love life here, okay? We're talking about video games. We're gamers. Um, with all that said, I was writing down notes the entire time and I was playing. Uh, I've been organizing them all day today and putting them into the categories from the last video and stuff. It seems to be an okay way of, um, I don't know, organizing them and getting out my thoughts. So let's go over them, starting with the classes I played. So this whole section, everything here is just going to be kind of I don't want to say like a deep dive of all the classes, but just my immediate thoughts on them and stuff. So I started with Shaman. Um, what was the name of the character? Oh God. Oh, it was just Wolfie. There it is. Okay. So I started with Shaman. Shaman was really strong, like stupidly strong, and I didn't realize it because I was so unexperienced with the game. Uh, that totem is so powerful. It attacks like 3 screens away, and it's basically immortal. It You also have your own lightning strikes going off. You have like a mortality jump and like ailment immunity, damage immunity. Uh, like I had birds that were just auto healing me if I ever got low. So I had auto pot and auto ward. There's so many things. I think if I went back and I played through, I feel bad. Like some people watching my very first playthrough and they're like, oh, this is like what the game is like. Man, the game is so different compared to that class. I think if I ever did go back and play this game again, and I did with Shaman, what I know now, I'm pretty sure I would level 100 Deathless just in like a day. I probably could get to level 100 in a day. Not level 100 areas, but not character level 100. I don't know how quickly you can do that. Probably take like a week. But yeah, that class is crazy. There's so many little things about it that are just like I, just the amount of damage and 100% uptime and damage immunities and all that. It's crazy. Uh, but that's enough about it. We'll be here forever if I'm glazing that one too long. I think I did. Oh no, I didn't. Legless. So I did a marksman next. Um, Not next. These are all out of order. I talked about all the order before, but it's just one ahead. This class sucks ass. This class is horrendous. I it totally feels like when you're playing marksman, they don't want you to play marksman. I feel like 11th hour wants you to play the other subclasses of like shadow and stuff. Because there'll be like skills and points that like relate to shadows, but you can't use shadows with any of these skills. So you have, because you're the other, it's like shadows like Zed from like League of Legends. It seems really cool, and I think that would probably be the way to go. And then there's like the apparently broken falconer and stuff. Once I finished once I finished the game and everything in this past like few days that I've just looked at like the Reddit and the stuff, and I've kind of seen finally for the first time like what everyone's been playing and stuff. I was looking at like reviews of the game and like seeing the ratings people were giving, and like other streamers' ratings on what they gave stuff. Um, but yeah, man, marksman is not it. It's so squishy, and you're standing still, and ugh, it's not good. Ailments are not good either. The way maybe it's even worse because the way I was playing it was like as much attack speed as I could get to put as much ailments I could get, but ailments don't scale very well because the only way to scale them is with chance and duration and I guess attack speed. But it doesn't seem like there's enough of it to make it deal the amount of damage that like something like Void Knight or Shaman was dealing, like tens of thousands of damage with like an ailment that's doing what 40 damage over 3 seconds. You need like hundreds of them, if not thousands of them. But yeah, and even on top of that, it would just be damage over time. It's so buggy. The arrows, you would fire an arrow at something, and it would either fall short or fly past it. Even if it's the only mob on the screen and you're just standing still, just mouse directly on it, it just they won't hit. They'll bug out sometimes. Um, I don't know. I really hated this character. When it died, I was just happy. That only happened with two characters, but I was just happy. Fuck that class. Um, let's go with Lich. I really wanted Lich to work, so I played it through a few times. Actually, the Lich is the only character that's still alive for me. All the other ones are technically dead. It's the only one that survived. I mean, it's in monoliths, but it's only like tier 1, tier 2 monoliths. Um, it was a really hard playthrough. There's so many different ways like you could play just Lich through. I had a staff that was giving me, I think, Hungering Souls was the skill I was using initially, but I died, didn't have the staff anymore. You know, softcore or not softcore. I'm not in trade, so I couldn't buy it or had to luck out on getting it. I did eventually get another one, but this was too late. This was like 2 days before, like doing the Void Knight, finishing it, the last boss. Um, but yeah, I went with Drain Life. I'm trying to Wandering Souls. Wandering something. Is it really Hungering Souls and Wandering Souls? Whatever. I think it's Wandering Souls, Drain Life, and then with Decay Aura. It's good. It's just the same problem I kind of had with Marksman, and ailments in this game aren't as good as like flat damage, I don't think. Um, remember, I'm not looking up builds or guides or anything for any of the stuff that I'm saying, so it's just what I could figure out. Um, and yeah, it's okay. I just think the standing still with Drain Life and the zero mana regen stuff is just, it wasn't for me. So we moved on to other classes. Let's talk about Beastmaster, my next primalist that I went through. Uh, the Beastmaster was so good early. It's a theme of all these characters. It's just like, wow, the companions, this is like good minions. I was like, this is like better than PoE minions. Um, and then as we progressed, I was like, holy shit, I was reading the bear that I had just unlocked when you become, because I was all wolves before, and I was like, the bear is pretty great. And you can get like, I was calling him like wizard bear. Sorry, throat's dry. and because he could like he turned from like a melee to like throwing like a spell, and I was like, holy shit, Wizard Beller sounds awesome. It sucked ass. He throws like a single spike out that deals like little tiny little like pellet, and he's like, doop, 10 damage, doop, 20 damage, doop, 20 damage, doop, 20 damage. So that was depressing. And I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be like he throws out like a barrage of kind of like bone marrow from the Lich. Um, like all the projectiles out. I thought that's what it was going to be because I had just played Lich and or Acolyte. I thought that's what it would be like. It wasn't. So then there was like another skill path that was like I don't what was it like 200% or like 300% increased move speed per like stack of bleed on a target or something. And I was like, holy shit, speed cocaine bear. That's where it's at. And then I spec'd it and I immediately realized I don't know why you would ever do this because who cares about how much movement speed he has because he can only get that movement speed if he's standing still attacking a target that has ailment. Because the second he kills the target, he loses all the movement speed because nothing has ailments on it anymore. Um, and maybe you can get around this by having multiple minions, but that didn't really make sense because your minions always target the same enemy for the most part. So if all of them are attacking one guy, he's not going to have ailments on anything else. Like there's occasionally they'll swipe other things, but it just wasn't good. So I went away from that and I went into Scorpion next. But yeah, I trained that for a while. And that was okay. I eventually went back to I think it was Raptor, Bear, Cougar, Bird, two birds, and a bear. I went back to the bear. Talk about it later with the skill, like going into more with the skills. But yeah, that was Beastmaster. I got rolled off screen and died with him. Next is Runemaster slash kind of Sorcerer because I did the exact same build kind of, but on both. I was just playing the same skills, but I tried it with both different classes kind of. I was playing Static and I don't remember what it's called, the Rune skill that gives you all the Rune abilities or whatever. It's like 36 or something different abilities. It's so cool. It's such a cool idea of like you fire skill, lightning, or like fire, cold, and all the different combinations to get these all these different skills. It's the most skills in the game, but all on one skill. Uh, Very cool. Except uh, getting the order in progress was kind of shitty because like when you didn't get the one you wanted, then you'd like redo your inputs and like then do it, and then it's like it it wasn't as good. So I was trying to play Static, and Static's okay. It just fell off a cliff in damage later. I don't know what happened. It did like the most damage I'd ever seen a skill do it. Like Act 2, it does like 10,000 damage. Or maybe it'd be Act 3, because that's by the time you get it. No, it's Act, I don't know, whenever you get it. Um, that's crazy how much damage it did. And then in Act 10, it's still doing 10,000. It doesn't change. And it's like single target, and it's only up some of the time, and yeah. I basically suicided the class. Um, Once I got to Act 9, I was just like, whatever. And I ran into a dead end, and I popped a portal. Yeah, I did, and I was like, I hit portal. It said portaling me out. I stood still, and they killed me. It was whatever. Um, I think with my sorcerer, that was with the rune. No, that was with the sorcerer. But the first time with the rune master, I died to just arrogance. Not arrogance. I don't know, but I just went in with zero necrotic res against a necrotic boss. And I got one tapped. Um, Lesson learned. This was still early on. This was like week 1 or 2 of playing. Um, but I was so used to just flying through everything, and I was, testing, as we like to say in the biz, a little limit testing. Yeah. So lastly is that's right. That's lastly, yeah. Lastly is Void Knight. I really didn't think I was gonna like this class. I was just like this class. I was reading all the different subclasses, and I was like, this class looks like ass. It really does. It looks like shit. Um, all the like, it looked like it was like an Aura bot as one, and like a healer as the other, and then it was like Void Knight like has some potential. It looks like okay, like maybe you're the tank. It was looking like or something. Man, playing it though, the first like act with all those like shitty movement skills, was it lunge or something where an enemy has to be on screen and stuff, and uh, all of it just was so bad. And then the second you ascend, a raising strike felt so fucking good. It just all felt, the bubbling and like all felt so amazing. And then you're just like, wow, this feels amazing. It can't get any better. Then you unlock Void Cleave, and like Void Cleave is like, okay, this is okay. But then it turns into a travel skill, and that felt amazing. And then it's like, oh, these combo so well. They feel so good. Keep reading their skills. They combo off each other. 100% crit when you have them both together. Oh, so you just only stack crit multi because you don't need crit chance. You're at 100% crit. Um, Base crit, and it's just, oh, it's so good. It felt so good, and like bubbling like key attacks and stuff. And it also helped with being like a new player, because when I don't know a lot of the boss fights, I'm going in completely blind to it. I see a red circle on the ground. I don't know if that's going to one shot me or just tickle me or put a degen on the ground, so I bubble it. um Man, Bubble Boy was so good. I recommend Bubble Boy. I think is a first character to play through. It feels like you're playing the game more like than any other class I played. It feels like you're actually like going through. I don't know. It feels so good. But yeah, I think that's all of them. I think of the other classes that the only class that I did kind of get spoiled about was Falconer or whatever. I don't remember how. Um, oh, it was a Ziz video, and it was like I seen like the thumbnail. It was like the most broken class or something, and I was just like, oh, okay, I don't want to play the most broken class. And that was the only class that I wanted to play because it was like a. It reminded me of like the Borderlands. Shit, what's his name? Let me know what his name is. I can't remember, but Borderlands the Falcon dude. I want to say Ace, but that's not right. Market? No, it's not Marcus. It starts with an M. Not Maraketh. Whatever his name is. Um, but yeah. So let's move on to skills. Um, I had a bunch of notes on skills that I was playing. They're not skills that I was playing with, but like just notes about them. That's basically what everything you hear from this point on. It's just little notes that I was making while I was playing and stuff. And the first one was channeling skills. You don't gain mana while channeling, with the exception of rebuke, which is, that's nice for Void Knight. But all the other ones, you don't gain mana during them, which is so weird. Because you can sit there and channel, but then if you need to jump out of the skill or whatever, you can channel past your maximum mana, but then you can't use a travel skill or anything to dodge out of it. Which is kind of my problems with Lich and stuff. I don't know. I just didn't really care for that. Minions had all minion skills that I noticed. They have really good, not really good. They have pretty good aggro. Of like, if something's on the screen, they're mostly gonna run towards it, for the most part. There's some cases where they don't, but they don't follow when there's nothing on the screen. They just run behind you. They don't follow your mouse. And that's something in PoE that I guess I took for granted. I didn't even realize. But they'll follow your mouse if there's nothing on screen, and they'll go where you're clicking, not where you are. So that's nice. Or not nice in this case. Um, I won't harp at it too much, but man, that bear skill was so fucking disappointing. I have like 10 minuses next to this because it was just the most disappointing thing. No wizard bear, no cocaine bear. The tank thorns bear wasn't even good. And I landed on like a swipe bear, which is okay, but then you don't even have skill slots. Um, because you're only limited to like 5 skills and you can't have more, and your companions take up each one. So I couldn't even have swipe because I needed the totem. And then it was like, okay, I could just then I can add swipe, but then it's like, no, you can't do that because you need the travel skill. And now you're limited to like you've 3 slots left, and you're like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? I need these. The minions have to be on your hotbar, so all that felt really bad. Um, I think I tried it and it all kind of failed. I think if I did it again, I would probably do Raptor or Cougar and do one giant companion. Take that skill point and do that. Um, yeah. Uh, like I was writing these notes, I guess, when I was playing the Beastmaster because they're all about uh, Beastmaster so far. The Scorpion was broken. Um, you had to resummon it every map, or the babies wouldn't come out. I don't know what to do with that was. That was super annoying. So it was an okay skill, but it was like sometimes couldn't really figure out whether I wanted it to be a bleed build or an armor shredding. But then it poisons. But then the babies don't armor shred. Only the mama scorpion does armor shred, and they poison. It just wasn't it. Um, I guess I talk about it now. The the void cleave bug. Oh my fucking god, this bug. Um, it also is, I guess, is with rebuke. It's not even the void cleave. I guess it would be the rebuke bug. Sorry, drinking. Um, so the bug was if you're in rebuke and you try to use another skill, you'll stun lock yourself, where the animation without the effect will go off. Like your character would spin and swing his sword, but like the big purple swing wouldn't come off. Um, and if you tried to slam or something, you would do like you're swinging forward, but nothing would happen. Um, and you would get stun locked in that. So like if you were dodging something or just doing it to get mana back in a pack or whatever, or you were doing anything and you're rebuking, you would try to like dash out when you're done or slam once you're done, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna slam or I'm gonna dash and get out of this, and you couldn't, and you're just stuck stun locked there in like the middle of a pack or under a boss ability or in a you know something, uh getting slammed with a bunch of ailments, which was what killed 2 of my void knights. Was just I had so many ailments on me and you just can't do anything during it. um and for the longest time, I thought I was getting stunned because in like one of the rip clips that I watched, a stun sound goes off, but that was like a red herring. It just happened to get stunned while this was happening. But in reality, I'm sitting there and I rebuke and I come out of it to like void cleave out and travel away or slam, and I spam, and I'm just you see my character if you I rewatched it and zoom in, he's just spinning in place. Like he's doing the void cleave animation, just spinning in place, just not moving. And like you could see all my hotkeys going off, like me pressing the button multiple times, and it's just dead. There's nothing you could do. You've stun locked yourself. So for like 4 deaths, that bug was just. I thought it was a mechanic, and I was just fucking myself up. Um, and then once I learned it was a bug, I it was tragic. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, all of this to a fucking bug. Lost so much time and everything. It's fixed now, apparently. Um, I don't know. I feel like I had something to do with it getting fixed because all that time, how long? I don't even know how long this game was released. Has it been a month already? Man, I don't know. Um, no, maybe not. 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't know. But that bug had been in the game almost the entire time. I was going back and I was looking at footage from the first Void Knight playthrough and the very first time I was doing it. And I found myself being able to rebuke and void cleave out. But I think at patch 1.0.1.2 or something, whatever it is, I think they broke it there or something. Because after that patch is when I was looking at all my rip clips and stuff, and that's they were happening all in that patch, all those patches where it was happening, and I like stun locking my character. And then once I figured it out, I did a bug report and I explained everything how it's happening and like recreating it. You can recreate it 100% of the time. Just hold rebuke, try to void cleave. You'll spin in circles, um, and stun lock yourself for like 3 seconds. And 3 seconds in monolith standing still, you're basically dead in a boss fight or anything, or surrounded by a pack. Which is the only reason you would be using rebuke is to defend against something. But if defending against something while your cooldowns are down to wait for them to come back up, and you can't use your cooldowns, it's not good. But anyways, right after I did this bug report, the next day, um, no, maybe it was like 2 days because I took like a day or two off after that because I didn't want to play anymore. I was tilted. Came back and Stream told me that, hey, have you tried it today? And I was like, I've been trying not to do it. Like subconsciously, I'm trying not to ever void cleave. Waiting like 2 seconds after I fully come out of the animation to do it. And they're like, no, it's fixed. So yeah, I did it, and now their solution, I guess, was it eats the animation. So now when you void cleave, instead of spinning in circles like you normally do, if you just pressed it like you do like a backslash spin towards it, you just you T pose and you just move forward. You like it's not quite T posing. It looks like if you ever played League of Legends, it looks like Gragas belly flop. You just push forward. And if you do any other skill like a raising strike or multi strike, it just eats the first sword swing. You can see the effect go off, but you'll still just be there belly flopping like the rebuke animation. Yeah. A lot about that you probably don't care about, but yeah, it's just that was so much of my time playing this game was Void Knight, and that bug was catastrophic for like a week for me. Just so many rips. They were all to that. All of my rips were to that, except the uh, Lagon fight. The Lagon fight, I dashed through a beam that I thought was a degen beam, but it turns out it's a one-shot beam that deals thousands of damage, 500 ticks a second, or like it ticks you like 30 times per frame. Uh, dog shit ability, whatever. Um, yeah, there's not much to talk about with other skills. Um, the arrow, all the marksman ones were shitty. I just didn't like any of them, especially trying to go like physical ailments. And I think maybe the elementals would have been better if I went that way. I don't know. The sorcerer skills were all really cool. I liked all the like the comboing you could do with Rune Master. I thought that was really cool. I just don't think it was strong enough. I think it was annoying when you didn't get the ability you wanted. Um, yeah. Static, I think if I looked up a build or like looked up the gear to have for static, or maybe there's a unique for it, it looks like a really cool auto bomber that you could have with that because you can automate having not Tempest Strike. It was the other one. Not Tempest Strike is the primalist skill. But the other lightning skill that you get go off automatically when you reach a certain number of charges. I forget what the name of it is. Lightning Strike or something. But yeah, that was really cool. Um, I talked about companions already. It sucks they don't have a skill slot. Drain life and stuff. Yeah, the Drain life was cool. Um, it's just standing still. Like you're really immortal, and like when you're in lich form too, it feels really good. But when your health bar starts dropping on lich form, I panic pot a lot and stuff, and I'm like, because I think I'm gonna die, but I'm not. I'm just gonna revert back to my main form. Um, yeah, and killing yourself with like the righteous fire, aura of decay build is kind of cool. Um, it's not hardcore friendly. I guess that's what I'll say for that character. That character's probably really good. You could probably do some really cool things with Lich. It's just not hardcore viable doing Aura of Decay, especially first time, because I don't. You can get so many stacks of poison on you that it's like I look away for 1 second and I could be dead to like having too many stacks on myself and something putting more stacks on myself. Um, yeah, that's enough about skills themselves. Let's talk about the passives. Um, I don't really have much to say on them. Basically, subtypes. They're basically like different subtypes in the trees for each class, or you would be choosing strictly between damage or defense. So it's all whatever. Some of the nodes with flat stats like int or just flat vitality or something were really boring, and you really get like a game changing node, something like one companion, like one massive companion, but you can only have that one. Or smite changing from healing to a void skill. Uh, the auto anomaly thing was, that was cool. I think sorcerer was the one that had just basically all stats like crit and ward, and I'm trying to think if there's anything unique on the sorcerer path. Not really. Like your next spell will deal more damage, which is the same as the melee passive for Void Knight, which is your next after 3 seconds, your next melee skill deals more damage. Yeah. I don't think static was the way to go. I think it really wanted you to do multi elemental stuff with Rune Master, not just one. But yeah. There's not really much to say on passives. They are what they are. Um, yeah. Let's move on to stats. Um, there's too many things to go over, and I really don't want to talk too much about stats because there's just so much I don't know, I don't think, or I'm not confident in talking about. So I'll just talk about a few things that I noticed and like basically not my opinion on them, but like questions about how they work still that I couldn't figure out. Um, the first one is damage conversion. It seems like damage conversion is really good. That's when from PoE it's insane. It's very good. But in this game where your resistances are always 100% penned and you can't overcap, it doesn't seem to be very good. So I guess if converted damage is not penned, so you take that damage with your full 75 resistance, then it's good. But if it also pens, it's really really bad because it's a wasted stat. It doesn't do anything. If you take 100 damage of fire and physical, um 100 damage of fire you're taking, 250. 100 damage of physical you're taking 250. Well, there's like armor calculation, but assume armor would be the same for both of it or whatever. Um but if you split it and you convert it to say 50-50, you're still taking 250 if it pens it at the end of the day. Um, ignoring armor and all that because yeah, I think it would still affect it. Or maybe armor. No, armor wouldn't matter because your amount of armor doesn't change with it. That's the other weird thing in this game. So armor doesn't care about your hit that you're taking, it cares about the level of the area you're in, is the percentage reduction. So reducing it to smaller amounts wouldn't reduce the damage more. Only being in a new area would reduce the damage more. Or a higher level area reduces it more and less, or more efficiently, I should say, not more and less. Um, but I guess converting it. So the way I thought that I used conversion on these classes because I think and I hope this is the way it works is that you're doing it for, if not the pen, you're doing it for the armor change from 100% effectiveness to 70, or from 70% effectiveness to 100%. Um, but yeah, confusing system. I think I have my head wrapped around it all now. I talked about it a lot in the other video and through all my videos and streams on this. Um, but yeah, I guess now I don't feel like doing it, but I guess now I could look it up and see a guide on how all this stuff actually worked. But that's my understanding of it. Um, block chance and block effectiveness. I don't really want to go over a lot of this stuff. I've talked about it in the other video. It's good. It's just standard um, stuff. I think they should add higher capped reses. As far as I know, they don't exist. But that would be cool. Um, what next? Oh, I wrote, so your stats when you press C in the bottom, like other and whatever, they don't accurately represent what you actually have. Um, maybe as of writing this, they've fixed it. I'm not 100% sure, but the example I have in my notes is I had 149% increased bleed chance, but when you go to the stat sheet, it said I only had 36. Um, and I thought, oh, so maybe one of the maybe it's like, I don't know, saying how often you'll stack like the extra stack or whatever. So then I would take off a piece of gear and look at it, and it would still just, it wouldn't go down. It would either go down to like 100%, like fall to 0%, or it would go back to the number that it had before. I think it was like 36. Um, so like either some of the gear pieces weren't actually giving me bleed chance, or like they weren't counting towards it, or the passes. There's something weird with the skill sheet. I don't think it's accurately representing. Maybe it doesn't take into account stats and gear and increases. I don't know. It seems like there's something wrong there. Um, this isn't really like a stats thing, but it was like debuffs and ailments. There are like some ailments that you can get inflicted with, like I think it's called snake poison, or is it wyvern? No, it's not wyvern poison. Snake poison and stuff. Man, some of those ailments, they deal so much damage. Um, and not having resistances early, man, I think that one's like what, 400 damage debuff when it gets on you. Um, and you can get it in like Act 4 or Chapter 4. Um, man, some of those are crazy amounts of damage you could deal. Um, I dealing ailments in general seem to be really, really good early, but that same, snake poison, once you're in the end game and stuff, it's like whatever. I took 400 damage over 3 seconds. Who the fuck cares? I healed it back instantly. I'm healing thousands. Um, but yeah, it seems like it goes like hits are better, then ailments are better, then hits are better. Um, it I could be wrong on that because I was thinking like I'm playing like a slam build, so I'm not really doing a ton of ailments. And maybe if you're playing like multi strike or something, um, hits and ailments are good together. I don't know. All right. Let's move on to items. Sorry if the rest of this recording sounds like I'm shucking on something, because I am. I need to grab a cough drop. Started getting a Sore throat. You probably noticed in the last. It was stopping to drink water too much. It's like just go get a lozenge. Um, but let's continue with items. Man, there's a lot of things with items that are super good. One of them is Weaver's Will items. Weaver's Will is such a cool, unique idea. I don't know if it's the gamble effect of it or it's the I don't know, the randomness or the feeling of progression of like progressing an item as you progress through the campaign, it's progressing with you. Maybe it's just that you don't even have to do anything; it just does it. So it's like uh, it's just I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to think right now, and I couldn't come up with a reason why. I just do. I really like it. I hope Pee-wee steals it. Steal this mechanic. Items that upgrade randomly while you level, but you have to like kill to get them leveled and stuff. I don't know. Um, this isn't really related to items. It's stash tabs for your items. Um, the search feature I pointed out it's actually really nice having the search feature of like going directly to an item. Um, like it needs like a little white box around it when you go to an item, but other than that, it's pretty nice having particular items highlighted and show up and stuff. Um, Man, we're gonna be jumping all around for the rest. Um, so base types that drop and like don't help you at all feel pretty bad when a base type can't help you. It's something you don't really deal with in PoE too much. Like you can get like an energy shield or an evasion base that doesn't help you, but you don't really get like main stats on it. So like there's a like chest piece in this game that deal fire damage, deal increased fire damage. It's like that's such a niche base type, and you're stuck with it for like 10 levels. That's your base type that you're is the only one that's going to be dropping. So you unlock the next tier. Um, I'm not sure if it's zone dropping or it's once you reach 10. No, I think it is zone because you can. I was level 80 in a 70 zone and I wasn't getting level 80 base types. It's only zone. Yeah, that makes sense. It has nothing to do with your character level. Um, I was thinking base types in map tiers that only drop in certain levels, but it's not player levels. It's map levels or tier levels, I guess. Which is weird because the ranges are so weird in this game of like what levels something drops and like what can equip it and it's all weird. It's whatever. It's neutral to me. It's just different. Um, but for all that loot that you get, this game has something that I didn't think was possible, and that's the loot filter. That this game, how do you bring it up? The loot filter in this game, being able to customize it all in game, not having to open up third party websites like Neversink and stuff. Even though Neversink is a really good filter and does it all for me, being able to do it all myself in here, I basically spent a whole day just going through my filter, and I was going through and I made like the perfect filter for me. It was when I was playing Beastmaster and um I just put all the things that I wanted to see on Beastmaster in there, and then I was like, I kept playing more. Oh, well, I want to be able to see things from other classes too while I'm doing it. So then I added things for the other classes that I already had, so would specify like void and stuff, and I made those like the purple colors, and then I would know they're all recolored, and I would know when different color drops on an item, or like it would be the bit for that class. So like hoarding loot for other classes, which is something I like to do. I like to play multiple classes. I don't know if people normally like to do that. I don't think so. I think people like to stick to one or two, but I like having like five or six at the same time. And then you could like emphasize, so I would know like these are plus ones. And then you get like generic loot like crit avoidance or something, and like that would be a different color, like green or something. And then you could filter out all the other garbage, all of it. Um, I think the only problem I ran into doing this was there's weird stuff with idols where like the stats on them don't get prioritized. Uh, that like if you're trying to show an item, an idol type that has a single affix tier that you want, but not both, it like wasn't showing up. Or if it only had two, I'm trying to remember what the exact thing was. It was something weird with having one or two. The problem could have been solved with having multiple tiers of idols. I don't know why there isn't multiple tiers on idol. It just seems like something that would be nice. Would, I don't know, maybe be too RNG having something from like 40 to 50, 50 to 60 and stuff. Too much grinding, which is a thing that this game doesn't really want to make you do as much. It kind of just wants to, you know, get you the things that you want. Anyways, that's a total sidetrack. The whole loot filter, being able to customize it and having everything in game, very very cool. Very very cool. I love it. I love it. I don't know how I'm ever going to go back to PoE and opening, uh, you know, a notepad and sitting there manually coding in all the things that I want. Um, it's so I don't know. It's like Stone Age stuff. It's insane. This loop filter is amazing. Um, yeah, all the items, all the mods. It wouldn't work perfectly in PoE because items are, you know, unidentified and stuff. So all that system wouldn't work. But at least having the loop filter customization in game, very very cool. Um, the other thing with the loop filter is it changes automatically based on the character you're playing. I guess it determines the subtype. I don't actually know what determines or what makes it change, but it always changed the right one. Um, maybe there's something in the description or something. When you do the description, it sets it to it. I don't know. I don't actually know what causes it, but it changes to the right class every time. Even though I had void mods in my Beastmaster, it knew to do Beastmaster and not void. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's not the name or anything. I named it Furry. As the game knows that Furry is a Beastmaster. Yeah. Um, really cool. I like that. Um, uh, so there's factions that give items like Scroll of Fortune and the trade faction and stuff. So I tried Marksman in the trade faction and stuff. I just wanted to see what it was like. And when I was leveling Marksman, all the backup gear I had in my storage I couldn't use because it was got with Circle of Fortune. And oftentimes the loot that I'm saving was good Circle of Fortune loot that was dropping. Because it's just often the better loot that drops. So that was weird. So you can't equip even on solo account found. You can't equip items on your account because two different characters were in two different factions. Um, that seems really wonky and weird. I don't think that should be a thing. Um, it's also weird. It's already weird enough that one of the factions just doesn't work on solo account found. So yeah. Um, Oh, there was a very interesting sword I found. Oh, man, I'm not gonna be able to find the name of it, but it's the sword that when you have it equipped and you're wearing it, if you shatter items, the shattered affixes that you get from the shattering the items goes onto your sword. That's a really cool item, I think. Also, something that would be, I don't know how the hell it would work in PoE, but that would be another cool thing to take. Um, I really like how they do their uniques in this game. I There's something PoE could learn from them because they're not just uniques; they're also craftable. And I was watching everyone's reaction to Necropolis League. I noticed them saying, "Oh, craftable uniques and stuff." So maybe it seems like other people want it too. Um, some other streamers and stuff. It seems like a good idea. Like being able to throw like a mod or two on an item. Um, what everyone would do though is like items that don't have life would get life, and uh, you know, all resistance or something. But yeah, I don't know. Seems like a cool system. Um, base types. There are a lot of base type items that have the exact same stats, like the exact same, like 100 to 150 armor, and you'll get like a 10, like a level 59 one that's like this, and then you'll get like a level 60, like not like the same item that's just higher level, like a totally new base type. The armor looks different, everything different name, but it has the exact same implicits. I don't know what is up with that. Maybe it's just old items that they've never updated, but it felt really shit to be like, oh, I can finally unlock the next tier. Look at this armor. What's it gonna have? Oh, it's the literally the exact same percentage values. Um, like I thought it was like, oh, I just rolled bad. Nope, it's still this one's still 100 to like 500. It doesn't. It's not like 500 to 1,000. Yeah, weird. Don't know what's up with that. Um, if it is not a bug or not just overlooked stuff, that's really weird. That your items don't get better as you get higher levels; they stay the same. Is there anything else with like uniques and stuff? Doing the dungeon and stuff to get the legendary potential is it's okay. I really liked Weaver's Will and that shattering item. That was also really cool. Set items are I never ended up using any set items. There's one that I thought the problem with set items is all the ones that I've seen don't do anything for like a general class. They're skill specific mainly. Um, yeah, couldn't really use any of them because all the set items that I ever got didn't really. The closest I ever got was the void echoes, but I don't I don't use it because it's a spell and didn't scale at all with it. I thought maybe at the end I would try something with it. I think void cleave does causes echoes or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I couldn't even use it because this is what I didn't understand. Oh, not understand, but it seems shitty is void cleave locks you into a two-hander sword and axe. I think it's all you could use, but you also with void cleave get the option to do abyssal echoes, which is a spell, but you couldn't you can't really scale that with a spell. You can't spell or scale like two-hander swords really well with spells and melee. I don't know. I was thinking scepters would be nice. And like one of the set items was a shield, but that doesn't work. You can't wear a shield with two-handers. So, yeah, I don't know. That all seemed weird. It seemed like they were hyper skill specific stuff and not really class or stuff specific. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I don't know. Didn't get to use any of them. Couldn't tell you. They looked strong. Um, let's move on to crafting. Um, When I first started with crafting, I was shattering everything and I loved it. PoE steal the system. It's amazing. Shattering items and like getting the affixes and adding it. And I was like, ah, it's so cool. It's on your craft bench and stuff. But once I started getting into like late maps, even with a really strict filter, where I was like, at first my filter was like T1 of all the mods that I want. And I was like, man, there are so many items dropping. I just don't have enough money and everything to be shattering all these. Then I put on tier 2, that wasn't enough. Tier 3, that wasn't enough. Tier 4, it wasn't completely enough. And then it was like, I'm missing out on like the +1 skill stuff doing this. So then I had to update the filter so that stuff was at tier 1. Other stuff was at tier 4. I think, did I end up in 5? Let me check real quick. Man, I don't know. What did I end up with? Yeah, I ended up with 4 on everything, tier 4 on everything. So basically, oh, I should have almost went to tier 5. And then it was like exalts only or something. I don't know. It was still just, it's too many. It's too much of a chore, and I felt really worn down by that system. Especially because you don't really need affixes once you get into a certain amount. It's initially when you first start playing the game, it's like, oh, I need all these, I need all these, I need all these. And it's like, okay, you have 200 HP ones. I was like, oh shit, I really have 200 HP affixes that I'll never ever need. Um, and it's like you get so many of them, you get so many alternate ones that it's like, because you shatter like an item that has like T5 HP and like crit avoidance on it. And you're like, okay. And that just happens to come with like, I don't know, fire damage and poison chance. And you just get so many of those other ones that it's like, by the time I went to a different class, and I was like, oh, let me put on this filter so I can get all these affixes. I'll check my affixes. Oh, you already have 100 poison chance ones from never ever trying to do it. Just picking them up and shattering other items. Um, I don't know what the solution is there. It feels amazing when you first start playing, but it becomes completely useless and it feels like a horrible chore, like unidentifying items in PoE once you're in late game. Yeah, I don't know what the solution is there. I don't know. Um, yeah. Um, Kind of a thing with crafting. It's more of like items, but the gambler, like getting a base type so you can like craft on it and stuff, and like when you're leveling and all that stuff, and like later on when you're looking for base types, that motherfucker is useless. I think I'll say one time he gave me a good item. I don't remember what it was, but I remember one time I was like, oh shit, you finally gave me something good. I think I've spent hundreds of thousands on the gambler. It never gives you anything, and he doesn't. I think one time he gave me a common 4 times in a row. I, ugh, gross, 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 gross. Um, I see why gambling is addictive after that guy, though. Hundreds of thousands of dollars disappeared from my inventory. Um, yeah, there's not too much else to say about it, about crafting. Um, I went over it all in the other video, like the different runes and stuff, and yeah, they're good. It just, they seem really niche and like really random when you would ever use them. Maybe I should have been crafting more, but it seemed like you would only craft like once every like 25 levels, and then your gear's like good enough. Even for a hardcore, like getting through on hardcore. Maybe I wouldn't have died if I had had like, you know, 1,000 more HP or something crafting with it or something. I don't know. Let's move on. Um, the story or like the just the mechanics of like monolith and stuff. Um, so when you complete the monoliths, you get blessings, and blessings are like pretty good. They're just buffs on your character, but you can get blessings that just you can't use. So like there's I'm not sure when it was. Maybe it was Stolen Lance or Fall of the Empire. I'm not sure. But there was one that it was like 25% chance to drop daggers. I can only use two-handed swords and two-handed axes. And it was like scepters and one-hander swords. So it was like the blessing rewards you get for completing that quest line literally don't help me ever. Um, so I guess I would have to re-roll it later, keep doing it again with like higher corruption to get maybe the one two-hander one. And it's just random RNG because I thought it was set in stone like which ones you get, but it's RNG because on each character I did, the options I got was different. Um, because I remember one I had like increased life, and when I got to that one, there was no life roll on it. It was like experience or something. Um, so yeah, that's really shitty that you can get stats that just don't help you at all. Um, Kind of like Pantheons and PoE, where you can get like I don't know reduced chill chance or something, but you're but even that just like helps, even if you're already like freeze capped or I don't know. That's worse. Um, so when you're playing the story, um, again that I've did so many times since the last video, you can level your faction. I don't know what happened the first like two or three characters. I don't know if I just was blind. I didn't notice it. And then I think it was the marksman that I first noticed it when I did that playthrough. That I was like, oh, wait, they're in town right here. And you could level your faction while you're doing the campaign. So you're just passively earning, progressing your other endgame characters at the same time as doing the new character. So that feels really good. I like that. Um, the feeling of progression in this game. I think it might be also why I like the Weaver's Will stuff. I really like the feeling of progression, which is weird when I hear people like, oh, let's skip the campaign. Let us skip all this stuff. And it's like I really like the feeling of progressing my character through it from 0 to 100 the whole way through. That experience is good. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Um, so when you're going through the campaign into monoliths and stuff, I that a lot of these topics now are going to be all hodgepodged into each other because they all play off each other so much. So the scaling for all these areas and like all the different maps and areas and zones and chapters, um, it felt really jumpy. Like you'd be doing an area, expect the next area to have like 10% damage increase. It's getting higher and stuff, and it would just be like a jump to like 50% damage increase, 100% damage increase. This boss now can one shot, and then this boss like Lagon, they're one shots. They deal thousands of damage to you. Um, and then the exact same character, you take it to the next tier, and it does nothing to you. Like the boss just does zero damage. Stand in everything, don't move, just sit there and beat it. I think it was the pirate boss. So all the balancing in like the stories feels really weird. And I found out reading through the Reddit and stuff and like looking at comments, I didn't have a reason for this before, but after reading it, I now know the reason why this might be a thing or why some people think it's a thing. It's because the game isn't technically finished yet. Um, I didn't know that until I seen it in comments and stuff. This I knew that I guess I didn't know that it wasn't really the finish, and then reading more about it, um, I guess it all makes sense. That I think they had filler or they plan to extend the campaign, but now with less acts and less areas, they got to bridge the gap, so that's why the jumps and damage happen and stuff. I don't know why it gets weaker this in higher tier monoliths. That's weird. Maybe it's just a balancing issue. Maybe it's because they rearranged like how the areas go because the game's not like finished yet. Um, like they haven't released all the chapters and all the tiers yet. So I don't know. That's all weird. It makes sense looking back on all the game now that it does just end abruptly. You just don't get a resolution to the story of the game. Um, and I guess that just plays into the balance of the areas too. That it's not finished. I I don't know how I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but I don't know how I feel about games being full release and like saying they're 1.0 when they're not finished. Um, I've seen some people bring up like, oh, PoE released and it like didn't have all its acts yet, but this was like, you know, I think a year into the alpha. Like they released, and then there's a year of alpha, and then they released the next couple acts. Maybe it's beta at this time, but I think it was like a year. I'm gonna be corrected wrong. It was like, oh, it was 2 years and 2 months, but then they released it, and this was back when it was all still in beta. Like, I think the 10x and PoE have been in there for what, like 5 years now, if not more, probably more. Um, and this game's been in development for like 7 years, and this is a 1.0 release, like official release, and it's not done. Um, feels kind of shitty. Feels kind of shitty. Um, yeah, but uh, see, people seem to. Some people seem to think it's really shitty, and some people think, ah, it's a brand new game. Give them time. Games like PoE have been out for 10 years. It's like this game's been out for playable since what 2019. Like you could download and play it, and it's been in development for what 7 years since it began development. I don't think I give games passes. Um, Even games like Baldur's Gate that are, man, Baldur's Gate such a good game, but it's been in development for a really long time and it's not complete. There are a lot of quest lines. There's a lot of companions that you meet and stuff. You'll see like if you kill someone, um, it's like why do they have like a scroll of revivify and a potion and camping supply bag? And it's like, oh, this was intended to be a player character. Um, but they just never finished that storyline or something. And all that feels shitty for a 1.0 release and stuff. Um, but yeah, I guess my whole point about that whole thing is it's fine to have your game in alpha and beta and like progressively update it and stuff, but it's another to like sell what is supposedly a 1.0 a finished product and it's not actually finished. Um, yeah, I don't know. But that's enough about all that. Let's move on to the maps. Um, this is kind of like with maps, monoliths, whatever. But each area in monoliths is like a tier, basically. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all the same level and everything. And then you could, roll your maps, which is kind of progressing through different pathways would be like rolling it. And like, because those effects stack, and like want to try to get a couple of stacking effects to get like good loot and make sure it's not too strong. And then you could like valet, which is corruption, to like corrupt the whole thing. And I guess it would be like sextants, kind of like having them. I don't know, like permanent sextant. I don't know what it would be like, but permanent valing. Maybe like an atlas tree, kind of. I don't know. Just permanent debuffs and stuff. Um, Killing the bosses felt really good in early maps and stuff, and then when you to I say that because killing like not the quest line, but like the map bosses felt good because you get like a chest reward and stuff for like completing it, and then you get to go to your hideout and stuff, and you'd get like the reward and everything. It felt good. Um, and I thought that was really good. But until you get to later maps where the completion reward, like not the thing that drops in the center of the hideout, but the chest on the side, never really drops anything good. It just seems like the same as just killing the like the a boss, like a map boss. It's like the same drop stuff. Like it's a little more. It's like killing like two or three, but it seems kind of pointless later. You almost never ever pick anything up from it. Most of the time now, when I open it and just nothing comes out because it's all filtered. Um, so yeah, it seems like a theme with this game. The more that I'm saying it all out loud and reading through all this again, that the beginning of the game is really good, but as you go farther and farther, there's just a lot of things that just aren't kind of sorted out, aren't balanced right, aren't, you know, polished. And yeah, I don't know what the dealio with that is. Um, a thing with this is more in campaign than it is with maps, but I noticed it a lot when I was releveling all these characters. The waypoints are in really weird areas, and they are never ever safe zones. So if you ever TP somewhere, you're TPing into a pack. I'd say 70% of the time there's a pack directly on the waypoint that immediately starts hitting you. Um, so if you're lagging, you pray to God that grace lasts long enough. Lasts like 10 seconds. Um, or if you move or click, it's gone. That feels real bad to have ambush packs basically on every thing. And like 20% of the time they're like near it and they aggro towards you. I can think of like one or two instances where the waypoint was safe. Um, but yeah. Um, this is something that killed one of my characters a bunch because I couldn't figure out what's happening. Is monolith quest lines are affected by monolith maps, previous maps, which felt really weird because I thought monolith quest lines kind of like fighting like a guardian or something, like a totally different area, totally different map. Not like when you fight a map they not like when you fight a map boss and its stats and stuff carry over to the next map, but in quest lines which aren't on the tree, they're just like a separate thing. I don't know. That was really weird. I just never thought about that. It would be like going into Shaper, but the previous map you were on is also affecting your Shaper. Um, yeah, weird, 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 weird. It's fine. It's just it killed me a bunch because I had a boss that was healing and I couldn't figure out why they were healing. Um, I was just like, what the fuck is happening? And eventually, I figured out that I read it and I was just like, oh yeah, this boss is healing to full because it has map mods on it from doing monoliths. Um, there's a weird thing with quests when you do them. If you log out during the hideout or during the after you kill it and you just don't portal, you just log or whatever, or you TP to town and you don't go through the portal, or I don't know exactly all the things that cause it, but it doesn't finish your progress in that quest. So if you do a quest, you're like, okay, I'm done for the day. I'm gonna log out, come back tomorrow and do more. You won't have counted that one. You'll have to redo the previous one. It won't like reset it. Like if you're on the second one and you want to go do the third one the next day, you have to redo the second one. Um, yeah, I don't know why that is the thing, or if it's a bug, or what's happening there. But yeah, I think that's it for like monolith and map layouts and all that kind of stuff. Um, the layouts are pretty repetitive since they're all the exact same. Like once you've done it once, you've done it 100 times. Um, But yeah. Um, I don't have much to say on bosses. I think they're pretty good. They're pretty cool fights. Just a lot of red circles, and I don't think they're balanced perfectly yet. Like kind of what I was saying earlier is they jump in difficulty. You could be at a tier, Lagon fight, tier 5 or whatever, and he's one-shotting you. Go to tier 6, doesn't deal any damage. Um, and keep jumping like 6, 7 tiers, and you're still like still not at the Lagon damage. And then by the time that I got to like T10, the final boss, it still wasn't at like the Lagon damage really. Like nothing was one-shotting me. Um, I don't even think anything was dealing as much damage as the chapter 6 avalanche from the tree boss was dealing as much damage as like a T10 monolith. I All the balancing and all the bosses are all so weird. Um yeah, I don't know. What one shots, what doesn't, what degens are, what aren't. I do still think they're all the bosses in this game's like the map bosses are better than PoE map bosses. I pretty much always. I can't even think of a PoE boss that would contest it. Like besides like going back and fighting like Innocence and Gatava on a map. Like if you're doing Defiled Cathedral, maybe. Um yeah. It sucks that some of the bosses, the map bosses, are just when they run out in the later tier maps, they're not map bosses, they're just rare enemies, which is really weird. It's like, oh, defeat the ambush pack, but the ambush pack is just like a rare enemy, not a boss. And sometimes they'll do that and they'll throw the map boss will be in the map, but the quest isn't to kill him. He just happens to be there. Like you'll notice that some maybe they're just uniques. I don't know if they're meant to be uniques or if they're meant to be map bosses, but they're just not the goal. I don't know. Um, what the intent there is. The dungeon bosses, I think the Temporal Sanctum one is pretty good. I like the time shifting in it and stuff. It's pretty good. I wish there was a little more time shifting besides just the big slam that comes out. Um, there's no real need to time shift in any other area. I wish there was like, um, I don't know what you call it. You know that game where you have to like jump? It's like in the game shows. It's like Japanese game show. You have to jump and like make the figure through the wall. I wish that like walls were like going and like pushing you through and you'd like phase to like dodge the wall, but there's also like skills going off trying to damage you, and you have to remember like what was in the other zone so you don't TP back into like a degen or something. Um, I think that would be really cool. Make that fight Uber version of that fight would be really cool. Um, I think Lightless Arbor fight is horrendously bad. I think it gets better once you've killed him and you go to fight the heart phase. I think that's like an okay fight of like the heart phase, but his first phase, that's horrendous. It's so bad. I hate it. It's like controlling the light and like him doing like 50% of your screen is a slam, and then well, it's actually 50% of the arena is a slam, 100% of your screen is the slam. Um, but you like have to sit with your face up against the corner, or you can throw out your little flare, but then you take like 1,000% increased damage. It's not good. I hate that fight. It's so bad. The whole dungeon's bad because then the rewards are like you just spent hundreds of thousands of gold to get no loot and ugh, gross dungeon. Um, Playing it multiple times, very bad. Um, my first playthrough, my other video essay, it was good. I was just having played it once and stuff, but man, once you go through it like 10 times, ugh. Um, And then the last one's Soulfire. Soulfire is a really good one too. I like Soulfire. I'm pretty salty about the actual dungeon, not the boss, because one of my characters got one shot off screened by a mob that I never ever saw on my screen. I went back and watched the whole thing, and the mob never ever shows up on my screen. I have no idea where he was, but he artillery fired me, and it just boop, it DD'd on me 3 times and killed me. Um, in like fraction of a second. And I mean like not the mob DD'd, like the projectile he shot exploded and detonated on the ground and then exploded again and again and again. I don't know what the fuck that was. But the fight itself is like really good and like changing elements. It's kind of like the same thing as Temporal Sanctum, but instead of changing zones where you have to like dodge and like hopefully I hope they change that to your remembering what's on the ground and like where to stand in certain areas. This one's more of just you're trying to use your shield to dodge the damage types that are coming at you, which is kind of cool. It's a little hard to because he overlaps the two elements a lot, but yeah, good fight. I like that fight. Um, I think all the monolith tier fights, the first what 5 are reused bosses from the campaign. I guess except for the first guy, the butcher dude. Um, let's see. I think that's it for bosses. The last 3 are unique. Herot. I don't know. That's not true. The final boss is just the keeper, just slightly upgraded. Herot's the only new one, and the dragon, I guess, the big dragon. Um, yeah, I think those are the only 2 new bosses in monoliths. Oh, the triangle guy's new, and the corruption to corrupt your monolith tier is new. That one as well. That one's a really good fight. The triangles guy is a pretty cool fight, I think. All the other ones are reused though. Even the goat men are just cultists but reskinned as fire. They do all the exact same skills, but they're just fire and not 3 elements. Yeah. Um, it'd be cool if they add more in the future. I don't know when or if they plan on doing more. You know, that wraps up bosses. So I have some random notes here at the end. Let's see. It's so I don't know if this game has room to grow. And what I mean by that is I don't know what their path is because they can make the game easier and not necessarily just easier, but I don't know the word for this. You know, like Diablo, like not handholdy, um, not streamline, like simplified. I guess is they make it more simplified and more straightforward, but then you'll lose like the PoE to the PoE type community that wants like complicated, difficult game. But if you do anything complicated and more difficult, you lose out on your like Diablo audience. Um, so this game's sitting in the middle. They have to stay like perfectly 50-50. And if they ever skew one way or the other as they're like, the game's growing and expanding over the years forward, um, they're gonna piss off one of those two groups that play this game. Or one of the 2 groups. So there'll be too casual friendly and the hardcore players will hate it, or it'll be too, you know, softcore or hardcore and just the new players just won't want to play it. So I don't know what they do. I don't know what choices they make or which way they want to go with their game. Um, I know which way I prefer, the hardcore PoE, super complicated way, but that does not make the money as much as Diablo does. So yeah, um, I wouldn't want them to go either way. or want them to go the way that I want. Just however they want to make their game, they can make it. That's fine. Um, so I was looking at ratings and stuff and all the reviews and everything after, and I can't believe this game has the same rating as Wolcen. Can you believe that? I feel like this game is like at least twice as good as Wolcen. Wolcen had like a buggy, broken campaign. This is Wolcen's score now too, after everything's been fixed and everything, versus last Epoch's like release. Um, I couldn't believe that. They both have like a 2.8 or something, or like a. I wrote down 2.8, but that sounds too low. But I mean 3.8. I guess I could look right now. Um, Let me look real quick. Um, 5.7. I think it's improved since I last looked at this. Oh, 5.6. No, they did have the exact same. A 5.6 and a 5.7 out of 10. That's crazy. And Diablo 4 is a 2. Path of Exile, 8 out of 10. And um, let's get Torchlight, an 8, 8.4. What's some other ones? Blanking on the name of it. The vampire game. Um, I'm blanking on the name of it. Can't think of the name of it. Whatever. Um, Sitting here looking up reviews during this. But yeah, I can't believe that the community doesn't seem to like this game as I thought they would. I thought this game was going to get like an 8 out of 10 or like a 7 out of 10 from the community. So I was pretty surprised to see it at a 5. Um, oh, and then I looked at the Steam. Let's look at that too. So I'm super up to date on it because when I wrote all this stuff down, this was like a week ago or oh no, the reviews are changed. The reviews have massively changed. What happened? The reviews were like super negative, but now it says mostly positive. Oh yeah, look, so they had 14,000 they had 15,000 negative reviews when they released. Um and then that was in February, and now in March they only have 3,000 negative reviews. So it was like almost 50% of the reviews, the initial reviews were negative. And then now it's like was that 20% of them? No. 5 by 5? Yeah, no. Yeah, 20% of them. Um that's crazy. 50% of people that initially went in didn't like the game. That's crazy. Um Maybe it all had to do with bugs and crashing and server stability stuff. But yeah, I didn't play. It's one thing about playing this game blind is I didn't realize at all what the community was saying or thinking about this game um, until looking at it now, and it's like there's a lot of like I was looking at the Reddit. There's a lot of they're not necessarily hate threads, but talking shit threads that uh yeah, I don't know if there's like policing on the Reddit or not. I don't follow it at all. But I wonder if there was more and they get removed, or if that's it and it's not that bad. It's there's some shit talking threads and stuff, but yeah. I was very unaware of the dislike for this game though. I really didn't think so. Um, these are all out of order. Uh, One thing I didn't like about this game was the getting sucked off by doors. Like if there's a door, it has like a giant AoE around it. So if you touch like 10 feet away from the door, it sucks you through it. Um, just a random thing that I just didn't like. I didn't know where to put it. Um, when you TP to town, you're not fucking damage immune. So I had a bunch of bleeds and degens on my character, and I TP'd to town, and I died in town because you aren't damage immune, and all that shit comes with you. Or I don't know if it was in town, but it was in hideout. But either way, no, I think it was in town. I, just, I, I guess it technically could have been me dying in the loading screen of it. I don't know what happened, but it seems real stupid you don't have grace in town. Um, Especially because you can't use skills like rebuke or leap slam or something to heal yourself while you're in town. So if you have something that lasts in between it, you can die in town. Or at least in your way to town, I guess. Maybe in the portal. I don't know. Weird thing. Uh, I'm not gonna talk about bugs too much. I reported all the bugs that I seen and stuff, and my PSA in the last video. I wonder if anyone started reporting bugs more, helping them out. Um, it seems to work. I reported a bug and my void cleave thing got fixed. Yeah. There's just like weird stuff. Arrows not hitting targets, and they don't, you know, projectiles don't hit the target that you're pointing at. It'll go into the ground or above it or whatever. If you're on like a flat plane, just even 10 feet away from each other, just won't connect. You can fire 1,000 projectiles, just none of them will connect. Uh, really weird. There was some stuff where like I don't know, not like cutscenes, but like you trigger like a bridge to open, and if you dash before the it finishes or before you click like the lever, you could dash past the invisible walls and get stuck outside the map. There's some stuff like that. Um, it's not total. I talked about this way earlier, but the stuff with like a rebuke and like stun locking yourself. There's also a thing if you. I noticed with other skills, like if you use one, like if you're spamming one skill, um, sometimes it felt like lag. Well, there would be like a desync with your skill where it just wouldn't go off if you started spamming it. Like you're like you could set the cooldown to go off while it was still on cooldown, um, which was really weird. I don't know what was up with that. But I think that's it. I think that's the entire game. That's everything. So now for my rating. Well, right before the rating, they have a section here on all my deaths and stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna make that video. I said I was gonna make a video on all my other deaths, but um, half of them are Void Knight stuff, dying to the bug, and that's not interesting. It'd be like, oh, yep, here's me the dying to the Void Knight. Um, oh, I just saw something in the chat that I should talk about. How did I seen this? Because I seen this post. How do they not have a chat filter for these gold selling bots? What? What? I seen them say in their post they don't think it's uh, a solution to the problem to have the filter. There's like because they can just change the text and then they won't be able to filter it out and stuff. But I'm like, I think I've seen this exact same message word for word. Offer 10 million gold equals 45 cents level 1 to 80 an hour for uh I don't know what that is. 80k to 15k an hour, but doesn't give a price, just the service. But I swear to God, that message The only thing that changes is the website link. Um, I don't know. It's there should be some way to filter that out. Even like offer 10 million gold for 45 cents. Who's typing that? Who's typing that that's not a gold seller? You worried about accidentally batting traders or something that are saying they're offering gold for 45? Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. Anyways, that's all that with rips and deaths and everything. And we've come to my rating of Last Epoch. I really struggled to come up with a final number, but I think I've landed on it after rereading my notes like 10 times. The game is like a 6 out of 10 for me, or so I thought. Um, After finishing this video, I uploaded it. I deleted it before the scheduled release because I needed to change my rating. Um, Last Epoch's a 5.24 out of 10 for me, actually. It's not quite going to get a 6, which, looking back, it kind of matches the community review of it. I mean, I'm slightly lower. They're at a 0.7, and I'm at a 0.2. The 0.24 is for memes, Necropolis. But so why did I feel the need to change this? Um, it's because when I was talking to a friend about the game, they asked, we were talking about what we were playing and stuff, and they were saying like what I was going to play next, and I didn't really have an answer. Um, that's because I don't really see myself coming back to Last Epoch. Um, at least not for a long time. If they release DLC or they're like the 2.0 expansion where they have finished the game. Um, it's this is going to be rough to say, but it's incomplete, it's buggy, and it's just not that fun when there's nothing to strive towards. Like once you've beaten the game, there is nothing more to do. You can do the same content but harder, like just increase the damage numbers, but then that's like okay. Um it's doing that once might be fun, but it's not like there's any like pinnacle content. There's no chase items, I don't think. Um, yeah, there's just nothing really to do. So I couldn't really justify giving it anything higher solely because of that. Um, it's a pretty huge decider for me in games to have a replayability. Um, even to this day, I go back to games all the time for that sole purpose. I was playing Terraria today. I went back and I was like, I have free time. Let's play some Terraria. I haven't played it in a while. Um, just to do a run and like see if I can get through all of it in hardcore master mode. Uh, Maybe once I've completed Terraria in hardcore master mode, I won't feel the need to go back to it. But I maybe it's that it's so difficult that it takes me a while to do it. By the time I do it, they add a new. Don't they have like a whole new, you know, giant expansion coming out with the game and stuff, crossovers and everything? I always want to go back and play games like Squad or even Baldur's Gate that I finished. I just finished my honor mode playthrough, and even that I'm like, oh, I want to play through it again. There's like more story I want to see and like see what happens when I play this character. And oh man, I can like unlock this player character I didn't even know existed. Um, uh, but it doesn't. I don't feel that with Last Epoch. It's just I'm done. I played all the different classes. I didn't do all the subclasses. I guess I can go back and do like each subclass. Um, that doesn't really. I don't know. Don't really feel like doing that. That would be like going like if let's say I going through PoE and playing literally every single possible skill. Um, and I've played a lot of them, but I couldn't imagine going back to just play every single one of them. I don't know. Anyway, that's from my review of last Epoch. I know some people will be sad or angry that I gave it an A5. But that's my opinion, and I'm right and you're wrong. Okay? Uh, kidding. But anyway, I'll see you time traveling multi-dimensional god wizards next week for 324 Necropolis releasing. Oh yeah, like, sub, thanks, and bye.